Welcome, everyone, to the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast. I am your host, Bruce Gunther. Joining me tonight, we have Devon Davidson.
Hello.
Welcome, Devon. And joining us from the booming metropolis of Langham, John Enns.
Hello. Booming. Good one.
Well, you know, it is growing, isn't it? Yeah.
Sure. We'll go with that. Metropolis is a stretch, to say the least. Metropolis is a stretch. Yeah.
Well, you never know, right? It could be.
One day.
Tonight is episode 139, Fantasy Preview for Week 6. We are going to start off the evening with one of our favorite topics here, John's List. John is going to go through, I guess it's news for today. So
go through.
What's that?
Go through. Yeah. This is painful.
All right, John, take it away.
I hate having to do this, but the Edmonton Oilers and just the whole organization, you're on the list just for not knowing what the heck you're doing for the last 10 years. 10, 15, longer than 20. That. 20, 15.
When did they trade Gretzky away?
88. A long time ago.
I guess they did win a Stanley Cup after they traded Gretzky away, but it wasn't shortly after that it kind of, yeah.
It just seems like everything that this organization does is just a dumpster fire, though. Basically.
Yeah, I agree, John. I feel bad for Woody. Actually, this is not his fault.
Yes,
no,
it is not.
I hate that they fired him and didn't let Holland go. Right, and we were talking about this off air. Holland at this point, he's just running out the clock. I think he knows his time at Edmonton's done. He's there. They don't want to pay him for nothing, so they're going to just let him continue to be the GM and
sit there to do nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And the nepotism in this organization, Bruce.
I was just wondering if they would, if Staios would have still been in the organization, if Holland would still be here today.
Maybe not. I wonder if part of the reason he left was, because they brought in Jeff Jackson. Is Jeff Jackson going to take over that role? Will he be president and GM? Is that the idea?
I kind of I'd like two separate people being the GM in hockey operations. I like the idea of having two separate people. I don't like the idea of one person having that much power. But I guess in the Oilers, it doesn't really matter.
I don't think
they kind of just do it.
Yeah.
Do whatever they want anyway.
I just
don't mess it up regardless.
I'm looking at this, and so I don't know a ton about Chris Knoblauch, but I looked at his profile.
Don't know anything about him.
And he's largely a WHL, OHL, and an AHL coach. He's got 2 years as an assistant coach for the Philadelphia Flyers from 2017 to 2019. He's won an OHL title, a WHL title. He's won a silver medal with the World Junior Under-20 Team Canada. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, right now he just came from Hartford in the AHL. And now they're saying he's won at every level, and that's great, but he's not a veteran NHL head coach.
No,
you would have thought if they were going to do, they would have brought in, I would have thought they would have brought in a veteran coach that had some experience, because if they want these guys to go to the Cup, you need someone that at least has got there or has that experience. Well, I guess Coffey has that experience. He's been to several Stanley Cups and won several Stanley Cups, but yikes.
But again,
when Coffey, yeah.
Well, what are we doing hiring Paul Coffey as an assistant coach? Like you said, Bruce, he doesn't want the job, and he may be a Hall of Fame defenseman, but he's not a Hall of Fame coach. So I don't understand why we're just jamming this round peg into a square hole and saying good enough, right? Kills me. It absolutely kills me. And then the other thing, too, that we didn't mention about Chris Knoblauch was that he was Connor McDavid's coach in junior for the Erie Otters. Yep.
Yeah, for two years?
I think so.
2 seasons?
Whatever it
Something
was.
like that.
But so what? We're bringing back the 2015 Erie Otters and hoping that they're going to win a championship? Erie didn't win a championship in 2015 in the OHL, so why are we trying to bring all those guys from that same roster and say...
Did the Oilers have the right Strome, or is it the other Strome brother that played with Connor?
It was the other one.
It was Dylan.
Was the other one?
It was Dylan. Yeah.
Oh, so we didn't have the right Strome anyway. So
no, but we had chances. I mean, it's just... I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Gerard Gallant...
So what happens...
Was Gallant
So what
not
happens now? What's that?
Was Gallant not available?
Maybe Gallant didn't want to go to this dumpster fire of a team.
Maybe.
Like, what happens? So they make the changes. So what happens now if the next 10 games they go 2-8 or 3-7? Are they going to throw Knobloch and Coffee under the bus, or what are they going to do? Like,
Oh no! At that point, they're just going to fire. That's when they'll fire Ken Holland,
Correct.
and then they'll announce Jeff Jackson as president and GM of hockey operations.
And even Jackson himself in the press conference said he's a long-term. He's thinking out the long term. I would just love to see what he's got on his plate if this season goes into the dumpster. I'd love to see what he's got in terms of a long-term plan going forward.
Yeah.
And whether it actually includes Connor or Leon. Guessing it will include Connor. May not include Leon. Depends on what they can get for each of them. But did you guys watch the game last night at all? Any of it?
Oh yeah, yeah,
I missed
Best
it.
game they have played all season by far.
yeah.
Even the Calgary game. That is the best game they have played by far.
Skinner looked good. Skinner made that one save early in the
That
first period.
first save was
Like that's the save we
amazing.
haven't been getting all season long, right?
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. Skinner looked good. And when Seattle pushed in the third, the Oilers handled it well.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't fall apart or anything like that. Dylan Holloway looked great, even though he took 4 penalties.
But you know what? He's a young player, and that quite often happens, right or wrong, with young players. The officials don't give them the benefit of the doubt, right?
No. And that one penalty, I think the player fell down as opposed to him taking. But the thing is, he was there. Like he was active. He was involved in the play. Like it's like if you watched the entire game and looked at how much time they said Holloway's name to whether they said Connor's name or Leon's name, Holloway's name was mentioned a lot, good and bad in terms of penalties. But Holloway was very much engaged, and he could have very easily had a Gordie Howe hat trick last night, very easily.
Yeah, I mean he looked good.
One whiff away from a Gordie Howe hat trick.
Yep. I think so 11 penalty minutes. He had a goal. He had one shot.
Yeah.
I played 13:05. So I think for Dylan Holloway, that's a game he can build off of a little bit. Probably
Absolutely.
the most noticeable. Like despite the lack of shot volume, that was the most noticeable game for him as an Edmonton Oilers this season.
Definitely. He was all over the front of the net.
So if we can get more efforts like that from him, and just engaged, like he was physical, like you said, had that. I wouldn't really call it a fight. It was more of a bear hug match, but like still, he got into a bit of a scrap, right, with Vince Dunn.
Yeah.
That play you're talking about with who did he hit? I can't remember who it was. Doesn't matter, but it really didn't do anything. And it killed me because.
The boarding penalty.
Yeah, and they're talking about, I don't like that hit from
He
behind.
was like 8 feet away when he pushed him. It's like the guy dove into the boards.
It wasn't even a push. He basically just guided the guy into the glass. The guy fell over, and then
from
Derek
6 feet away. Like by the time Holloway hit him to the guy hit the boards, there was like 4 feet of clearance between the two guys.
Yeah, and then
Like he didn't even follow him into the board.
and then
he
Derek
just pushed him.
And then Derek
Or gave him a
Ryan's
little
knee.
tap.
Derek Ryan's knee hit his head, and then
Yeah.
and so that's I think what cut him because it wasn't anything to do with Holloway. So if you watch that
It
playback,
was hilarious.
but
anyway, Holloway played. I thought Holloway played really well.
yeah, so that was good.
Really, really
That was
well.
encouraging. I mean, Zach Hyman, first period natural
That
hat
was
trick. What can you say?
fantastic. That was just beautiful. What he was able to do.
Everybody's favorite children's author.
Yeah. It took me a second to like, what the hell? Oh yeah, it's like, yeah. Took me a moment to remember that.
So no, that was good. It sucks. I really thought. Oh, and hey, shout out to Heavy Hockey because
Yes, they're the ones that broke the news that they were going to let Woody go here after the road trip.
and Manson and the word was too that they expected Ken Holland to be let go as well, but didn't come to fruition. So big shout out to Michael and to Dash because they're obviously connected to some people inside the organization that providing some accurate news. So that's the third story this year. I think they've broken. The other one was the Sam Gagner signing. They were pretty significant or pretty confident in that one. And then I can't remember the other story what it was, but anyway, they're doing great work over there. So
No,
Shout out
great
to
job,
them.
guys. You're
Yeah.
doing awesome.
very nice. And then the other thing we talked about too, I don't know if you guys want to talk about it, is Ross Colton. We did talk about it on Wednesday, that greasy hit. Well, greasy or not, but whatever. I added him to the list before
It was a
the Oilers
it was a
game.
weird hit because Colton was going one way and Hughes was going the other way. It was weird.
I just didn't like the timing on Colton's part because he kind of just waited till he was about 2 or 3 feet from the boards, and then he gave him kind of a stiff jab, and then. So I mean, yeah, Luke Hughes has to be aware of that and prepare for the hit too, but I just didn't like it from Ross Colton. So, yep.
I thought the funny part is that he puts the hit on Hughes. He goes around the net, comes out, cross-checks Timo Meier in the face, and he gets a fine for cross-checking Meier in the face, but nothing for the hit on Luke Hughes.
That's just typical NHL player safety right there.
We'll pick something.
Pick one, one thing or the other thing, right? All right. Let's move on now to Fantasy Lock of the Week here. This week, and when I took a look at this, I was kind of a little bit surprised at the weekly stats, but this week's Fantasy Lock of the Week is Kyle Connor, left wing for the Winnipeg Jets. Oh, God, I almost said Vancouver. That would have been fun.
Yeesh.
Connor had 8 points this week, 5 goals and 3 assists in 3 games played. 3 of those points came on the power play, where he averaged just under 3 minutes of power play time on ice. That was 58.5% power play share. He had 16 shots on goal with an average time on ice of 18 minutes and 43 seconds. So nice little week for Connor. Kyle Connor, that is. The other Connor McDavid didn't have that many points. He didn't get any points last night, actually.
You know what? When that guy gets rolling, my fantasy roster is going to be very happy. But until then...
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping it stays down there for a while.
Well, you got Draisaitl, so you got to hope that train gets
I need
rolling
Leon.
too.
I need Leon and Evander to do. They took an assist away from Kane last night. I was a little upset about that.
I heard that. Yeah,
they made one of Hyman's goals unassisted, where I thought that Evander would have got a second assist, but oh well. Honorable mention this goes to Kyle's teammate Mark Scheifele, who also had 8 points this week. He had a goal and 7 assists. 2 of those points also came on the power play. Scheifele had 11 shots and was averaging 19 minutes and 32 seconds time on ice this week. Nice amount for him.
Nice turnaround to his numbers for the season.
Definitely. Most definitely. We're going to move on to Edge Work now for Week 6, the segment where we give you the edge in your fantasy hockey leagues. Each week, the Hacks will cover the NHL schedule, waiver wire targets, the guide you to victory. All right, so we are now entering Week 6, and Week 6 follows that familiar format. I guess, what do they call them? Not light nights. So we got 9 games Tuesday, 9 games Thursday, and 13 games on Saturday. I guess it's full days on the schedule. The remaining games feature 5 or fewer games, so optimizing will be a big thing for this week. There are 45 games on the schedule with 4 light days. So we have got 7 teams this week that play 4 games. Anaheim, surprise, surprise. Mm-hmm. Columbus, the Islanders, Pittsburgh, Seattle, St. Louis, and Vegas. All those teams, Anaheim is the only club to play 3 of their 4 games on off nights, which I think is well established that the Ducks play pretty much on almost every off night, it would seem. And let's see here. The Islanders and the Kraken are the only other teams that play 2 of their 4 games on off nights. So we do have one team here that does play 1 game this week, and that is the Rangers. I believe that is because that game is in Europe, if memory serves.
They've got 6 days off here, I think, right? So somebody mentioned that Igor Shesterkin is kind of out now, day-to-day, whatever he's dealing with. But he's going to have a chance to rest up here now, and they're kind of just rolling with Jonathan Quick and Louis Domingue for the 1 game this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So got Monday we got 2 games. Tuesday we've got 9. Wednesday's got 4. Thursday's 9. Friday is 3. Saturday is 13. And Sunday is 5. If you want to see the complete list of teams when they play, you can check our show notes. I'm not going to read all 32 teams out this week.
We'll include the transcript in the podcast notes, right? So it's either on the blog or just if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, all that information is going to be in the transcript.
Thank you very much.
Boom.
Sorry?
I says boom.
Boom. All right, we'll move on to waiver wire targets here for Week 6. Let's see. Devon's only picked up 1.
I think
only picked up 1.
I think I've only picked up one of these 4s. Maybe all of these. I think I've only picked up 1, but
only picked up one. Well, Devon, you want to start off with the guy that you picked up?
I sure do. And just for the record, I fully endorse all of these players. I just, I can't drop half my roster here. So, Braden Schenn, though, I could, and probably to some of your delight, but no, I'm not doing that. Braden Schenn of the St. Louis Blues, center left wing eligible, rostered in 34% of Yahoo leagues and 51% of Fantrax. So still widely available in most formats. A couple reasons why. The big one here, 4 games this week, Tampa, San Jose, LA, and Anaheim. So at least 2 of those games, they should feast or, put up some offense. And the other thing here is that he's now playing on line 2 with Jordan Kyrou and Brandon Saad, and he's got a prominent role on the top power play unit. So all things, obviously, in terms of deployment that you want in a fantasy asset. And then to make things even better, he posted a hat trick and a 4-point night on Saturday against Colorado. He now has 8 points and 5 goals in his last 4 games. He also provides decent category coverage for hits if you're in a bangers league. 2.7 hits per game right now. And he also covers face-off wins. Shot volume is a little bit of a concern for me at 1.6 shots on goal per game, but his career average is 2, so we can expect potentially some positive regression that way. But as long as he's putting up the points, this guy right now is a slam dunk. Go grab him, at least for this week and potentially longer.
What happened to Colorado last night? Like, holy crap, man. The Blues lit him up like a Christmas tree. Like,
everybody's allowed to have a stinker, right?
It hasn't been just one. They've been shut out 4 times in the past month.
Yeah, somebody was mentioning that Gorgiev's really struggling, hey?
Because I was watching, I got Bushnevich on one of my teams. He had a hat trick too. 2 of them were shorthanded.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yikes.
It's just wild.
3.29 goals against average and an .887 save percentage for Alexander Gorgiev.
Yeesh. No, that's not going to win you many games.
No, not ideal. But this is also a guy that won 40 games last year and had a .919 save percentage. So I have to think they're going to improve. Another guy too is Devon Toews has been quite quiet this year. Mm-hmm. Like, they've got a few players like that. And
they just lost Letkinen. Did you guys see that Letkinen going to the boards?
I missed it.
It looks like he took a full header into the boards. Like, he's out. He'll be out for a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they said he'll be out for a while, but it looked like he went head first into the boards, just the way he bounced off of it. It did not. It just was gnarly to watch.
Well, we wish him well. I mean,
absolutely.
But yeah, that team's going to get better. I can't see them falling off the map, Edmonton Oilers style here, but
no, I can't see it either. John, you want the next one or the third one?
I am perfectly happy with taking the next one. Matthias McKelly, left winger is McKelly.
Vermicelli.
Left winger, left wing with Arizona, 8% roster in Yahoo, 47% Fantrax. 3 games this week. Dallas, Columbus, Winnipeg, playing on that second line with Nick Bukestad and Lawson Krause, also getting time on second power play. Matthias is on pace for 59 points with 10 points and, 2 goals in 14 games so far this season. He's shooting at a career best 6.6 shots on goal per 60, 1.6 a game. His shooting percentage is down 8.7 versus 13.3 career average, but we can expect that to continue rolling in a proper direction here to some degree at least. Second power play time, sure, it limits his upside, but his deployment and recent production, it's well evened itself out, it seems. So yeah, no, he's been doing really well.
Widely available too, so yeah, give that guy a look.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just kind of last year. He kind of just sneaks in under the radar. Because he was the same way last season. He had a good season, but no one really talked about him. And probably
Correct.
being in Arizona had something to do about that too. But
yeah,
well, and
very.
Sorry, Bruce. I was going to say, I think too, last season the bigger stories were Clayton Keller and Barrett Hayton.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And this year too, they've got a little bit of everyone. Like, when they blow teams out, it's not usually the top 2 lines that's scoring; it's the bottom 2 lines that score.
Mm-hmm.
They have I can't remember the kid's name. You just quickly bring it up here. Arizona. It is Michael Carson.
Okay.
Carson. has also been going in spurts where he'll get 2 points here, a few points there too. He's playing on the third line. But that's nice for Arizona. Get a little bit of everyone moving.
Yes.
Let us move on to Mr. Cole Perfetti. He is rostered 4% in Yahoo and 53% in Fantrax. He is playing on a line with Vladislav
Nemesnikov.
Nemestikov. Can't pronounce Russian names at all. And Nikolai Ehlers. He's got a spot on Power Play 1 as well. That is fantastic. So Perfetti's locked down a spot in the top 6 here for the Jets, and he is taking full advantage of it. He has got 11 points and 4 goals in 14 games so far this season. It's a nice 64-point pace. His shooting percentage is at 13.8%, which is a little above his career average, which I think is just a shade under 10%. 85% IPP and a career best 8.9 shots on goal per 60. So let's ride that production while you can.
He's been nice and consistent with points in 8 of his last 9.
He has, for sure. And the guy's got pedigree, right? He's a top 10 pick 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He's getting that deployment. I like him, but I just, like I said, the ish is iffy, Bruce, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely inflated because I think when I was looking it up here, he's usually right around 9% is where he hovers between.
Yeah.
So it's definitely high, but
he's shooting the puck more too, right? So he's shooting the puck more. Yes. He's converting on more chances. But the other thing too that's definitely not sustainable is that IPP at 85%. That's Connor McDavid level. Mm-hmm. So
so you look at IPP is 85%. Last year was 71.4. The year before that, it was 87.5.
But how many games did he play? He only played 18 games, right? So,
yeah,
like small sample sizes. We're still talking about a career of just 83 games here in the NHL. So,
yeah.
But just over time, like you can't expect that number to continue. Like he's going to be closer to somewhere around 70 to 75%. 76% is kind of where you see top level players. So,
yeah,
but that's okay.
And he's filling in nice, right? So. Filling in for an injured player, so they needed someone to take that spot on the top line, and he's jumped right in and taken the bull by the horns, and away he went.
Well, and I think Bruce, he's probably not going to give it back. Like we're talking about Gabe Vilardi here as the injured player, right?
Yeah, I don't think if Perfetti keeps playing this way, Vilardi's not getting his spot back.
No, he'll get power play 2, and he'll be playing second or third line, right?
Definitely, most definitely. Who wants the next guy on the list?
Nobody, but. But I could take it, Bruce, if you'd like.
All right, go for it.
All right, so Nazem Kadri, for the Calgary Flames, center eligible, 46% rostered in Yahoo, 66 in Fantrax, 3 games on the docket this week, playing on that second line with Connor Zary and Yegor Sharangovich, as well as on Power Play 1. I don't love the line mates here as much, but he started to turn his season around. So he's got 7 points and 2 goals in his last 5. And prior to this recent hot streak, he had just 1 point in 8 games to start the year. So he was ice cold. I saw this guy on the wire in a lot of different leagues, but they don't have a ton of talent in Calgary, quite honestly, and he's playing big minutes, right? Both at even strength and on the power play. Shot volume's great. He's always been a good volume shooter, 3.2 shots on goal per game, 10.6 shots on goal per 60, and the underlying numbers actually suggest more positive regression could be coming. So a 7.7 team even strength shooting percentage with him on the ice, a 4.8 individual shooting percentage, a 67% IPP, and just 1 of his 6 assists are of the secondary assist variety. So largely primary assists, which is always encouraging, and would also just indicate that we're probably going to see a few more of those lucky bounces occur in the coming games as well.
Yep.
He should share some lucky bounces with Huberto. Oh, my God.
many lucky bounces.
Yeah, because he was on the bench for the whole third period the other day, wasn't he?
He was.
Yes, he was. That's
his head was down. He's checked out.
Have you guys ever seen anything like that before, though, where a player has just completely fallen off the map from one year to the next?
Not as hard.
Not as hard as that. No, I would have thought this year would have been a bounce back, like new coach and stuff like that, and it just
not the case.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They might have to try giving him away in the offseason if he can't pull his stuff together. Like Calgary's definitely not a fit. But
Well, it sounds like they're going to start dismantling it, right?
Yeah, but who's going to take that contract?
If it was 50%, somebody's taking a chance on Huberdeau at 50%.
Yeah, Philadelphia, Chicago.
Plenty of rosters out there that would be willing to do it.
No, I guess that's true. Next one on the list is Quinton Byfield. He is rostered 42% in Yahoo and 64% in Fantrax. He's on line 2 with Anze Kopitar and Adrian Kempe.
That should be line 1.
That's line 1. There you go.
I can't see Kopitar playing line 2.
Yeah, you never know. They mix their lines up quite a bit. So Byfield's breaking out in a big way with 12 points, 2 goals in 13 games played this season. 76-point pace over 82 games. Better yet, Byfield's power play time has been steadily increasing. He hit a career-high 50% power play share on Thursday night, combined with a career-high 1.8 shots on goal per game at a 7.1 shots on goal per 60. There's very little to dislike about the 21-year-old's game at this moment. And you know what? I totally missed all that. I was like, why is everybody picking up Byfield? And then it's like, oh yeah, I should have been looking at that. And I totally knew it. Granted, I was flat on my back sick. That's probably why I missed him. But.
The kid's crushing it.
Yeah, he's putting up good numbers, and he's not playing a whole lot of minutes. I'm sure that's going to rise, but right now he's playing less than 15 minutes a night.
They're going to ease him into it.
Yeah, he's not getting a ton of time on the power play. Like, if you look at it, he's just 33% power play share. But it's starting to creep up a little bit. He started, a few games ago, he was down around 20% power play share, and now, on the 9th, he was at 50%. Yesterday he was at 41%, over 4. Like, he's starting to creep up there. They're starting to trust him a little bit more, and if he continues that production, because there's opportunity, right? I think Arvidsson's still out, so someone's got to fill in a role in the top 6 on the top power play unit.
No, and he's and they're more than willing to give him the spot, and he's earning it at the moment.
But this is a problem for the Pacific Division. Like, having a guy like Quinton Byfield finally bust out like this, and the Kings look good. Cam Talbot looks fantastic.
Well, I didn't see that coming. I
called it.
I
called it, Bruce.
Last year in Ottawa, you did.
No,
I think I was the only one maybe on this podcast. Well, maybe John, you're on with me. I don't know, but no, you hate Cam Talbot. Never mind. No, I was the only one. I was the only hack who was like, yeah, it's going to happen.
If it was anybody, it was Tyler, because it definitely wasn't me, because I disliked that guy.
Yeah.
There you go. John, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, sure. Next on our list here, we have Tommy Novak with Nashville. Rostered 11% Yahoo, 57% Fantrax. 2 games this week, Anaheim, Chicago. Playing on line 2 with Kiefer Sherwood and Luke Evangelista. Also gotten some PP1 time. The guy's just out here to prove that last year wasn't a fluke. Last year he had 43 points in 51 games, I believe. He's on pace for 70 points, playing in the top 6, and like I say, getting that power play time. Nashville has just the 2 games this week, but if you're looking for some help, then definitely I'd take a look here at Tommy. Only thing is there are some concerns with his underlying numbers. His 23.1% ish. And
nice-ish.
Yeah, it is.
Slightly unsustainable, but it's still nice.
Correct. And the 67% secondary assist percentage. But the guy's putting up solid numbers, so definitely I'd keep an eye on him for sure.
He's been doing all right there in Nashville. They've had their ups and downs.
No, he's looked good though, and I think he on pace for 70 points, like you said, John. There's that's great production for guys 11% rostered in Yahoo and still available in over 40% in Fantrax. So the only thing is and similar to Byfield, I don't know if we mentioned it, but just those 2 games right for the week. So that's really for me the only downside with either of those players. But if you can swing it and make it work within your schedule, there's production to be had there.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of players that don't have a whole lot of games next week, our next guy.
Yeah.
Surprise.
He's on a roll, but he only has 1 game next week, and that's Mr. Alexis Lafreniere for the New York Rangers. So they only have one game next week against New Jersey. I believe that game is played in Europe. So not a great time to grab him, but the 22-year-old is heated up nicely here with 5 points and 1 goal in 3 games, 9 points, 5 goals in the past 13. So 57-point pace. So deployment isn't ideal, but he's been on a heater here as of late. His ish is up there as well. It's at 23%, so that's a bit of a concern, but had a very pretty goal today from what I saw. So
I missed that. Did he score today?
Yeah. Very nice.
Oh,
very nice.
We have a guest. We have a guest.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Welcome, Tyler.
Hey, buddy.
Hi. How's it going?
Good. Good to see you.
Good.
Sorry I'm late.
Hey, it's all good. I actually didn't see that you were sitting there in the waiting room, and then I saw you typing in the notes here. So I was
I figured.
yeah, there's Tyler.
I figured you'd see me somewhere.
Yeah, we saw you. Hold on.
I'm reading. It's like,
Did you actually go to hockey tonight? Is that where you?
Yeah, it was probably pretty stupid, but I don't have any more teeth really to lose. So, I mean, they're all, I get my stitches out tomorrow and everything's all wired together. So
what's the problem?
I put a cage on.
Yep.
But
Well, for the heavy hockey showdown, I will probably be wearing a cage because I just want to avoid exactly what happened to you like a week ago. So
I might take my cage off for that, but yeah.
Sticks happen, man.
Sticks
Sticks happen.
with full swings, they're the worst.
Yeah.
Like it's the worst. This is going to be like 6 months to try and put this back together. And probably I'm going to have like one of those flipper things that I got to stick in there. So it's not totally worth it, but wearing a cage after you haven't worn a cage, you're like basically your whole life is really, really difficult. So
Yeah, but you know what? I
got a couple assists tonight.
Hey, that a boy.
that's good.
Definitely didn't score.
Well done.
And no penalties.
And no,
Which-
yeah,
I was playing a little timid. I'm gonna
you're
be
like
honest.
Zach Cassian after he got knocked out. You're like, I'm just gonna coast for a while here.
I don't want to get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Slash one guy on my first shift just to know that I still got it, but that was about it.
that a boy.
Yeah.
Obviously, the ref didn't catch it if he didn't get any penalty minutes, so that's good.
No, I know the ref's pretty good. They were actually there last week when I got my teeth knocked out. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Jeez.
we talked about it after.
Oh, jeez. Well, hey, we're glad you jumped on. We're
Definitely.
like we're just wrapping up Lafreniere here, and we're gonna move on to defenseman, right, Bruce?
We are. We're going to move on to defenseman next. I'd asked Tyler to do this, but I know he hasn't looked at the show notes yet, so we'll ask John to do the first one here.
All right, first defenseman we have on here is from Minnesota, Brock Faber, rostered 5% Yahoo, 40% in Fantrax. 2 games this week, Ottawa and Toronto. Playing on that first D pairing with Jonas Brodin. 21-year-old's been effective for the Wild, posting 6 points in 14 games, including 3 points in the Wild's last 4 contests. He offers some nice category coverage, particularly in blocks, where he's averaging 1.8 a game. Power play time leaves a little bit to be desired, but he's getting 23.5-ish minutes a night. So the time on ice there, he's getting them shifts in. So
Got to get those shifts, boys.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to help bump those numbers.
He looks good. And I think we were talking with, was it Ryan on Wednesday? We were talking about Brock Faber, I think. He had brought him up as a player we should be focused on. So, and actually, to Tyler's disappointment, that was one of the players he said we should target in a trade for one of our superstars. But anyway, I won't digress any further. But Brock Faber, yeah, for anyone that's not, you're not watching the video. But anyway, Tyler, sorry, I digress. But Brock Faber looks really good and playing top pairing minutes, like he's going to put up some points. So looks good.
No, and I guess they traded Addison away, right? With Spurgeon coming back, they didn't want to send Faber back down. So that's kind of how they cleared space for everybody there.
Yep.
Devon, you want to take the next one since I can't pronounce this guy's last name?
Sure. I think we just talked about him recently, and you know, my apologies. We don't have a ton of defensemen to talk about this week. I don't know about you guys, if you have any other suggestions, but Pavel Mintyukov for the Anaheim Ducks, 55% rostered in Yahoo, 74% in Fantrax. But again, Anaheim 4 games this week. He's playing on, I think it's the second pairing with Ilya Lyubushkin, and he's running that power play unit for him. Their power play is ranked 16th right now at 20.5%. He's on pace for 57 points with 9 points and 1 goal in 13 games to date. It's actually pretty surprising he's still available in 50% of Yahoo leagues. The production's there, the schedule's there. He's been fantastic. He's an absolute slam dunk in week 6. So if he's still available in your league, go grab him and probably keep that guy for the remainder of the season, unless you're in a shallow league, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Some other honorable mentions that we have on here. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, he's rostered 35%. He's had 4 points, 2 goals in his last 4 games. Although his time could be running out. Rumor is that Montour is going to start practicing next week.
And Ekblad should be back shortly after that as well. So
OEL's time on the power play could be coming to an end here fairly quickly. I've just kind of watched and see how things play out there. Another one is Eric Gustafsson, 28% rostered. He's got 5 points, 1 goal in his last 3 games. Again, the Rangers only play once this coming week, so if you need a defenseman for one night, if he's still available, you could stream him for one night. And Torrey Krug has arisen from the dead. He's rostered at 17%. He had 1 goal, 4 points in the last 3 games here, so he's risen from the dead and hopefully thinking about possibly retaking the first power play unit, although they had Perunovic yesterday quarterbacking the first power play unit.
They seem to have lots of options, right? Whether it's Perunovic or Falk or Krug, or even like if they're desperate, Parayko could probably handle some of that duty, right? But it's just...
I think they're just looking for someone to actually take the ball and run with it there, which no one has done yet there. So
yes, Tyler, you can vape on here. That's fine.
Oh, all right. That is it for defensemen. So we will move on to goaltenders. First guy on the list here is Connor Ingram. He does not play for the St. Louis Blues. I'm pretty sure it's the Arizona Coyotes.
Probably update that, hey?
It says 18% rostered. I hope that number is at least right. With the exception of a poor start versus the Kings on the 24th of October, Ingram has not had a save percentage below .921 in any of his starts this season. Overall, Ingram is sporting a 4-1 record with a .919 save percentage and a 2.4 goals against average at the time of writing. He's actually playing better than Vejmelka right now. So if you're looking for the goaltender to stream out of those two, I would say Ingram would be the one. I don't know if I would hold him, but definitely worth streaming.
I don't think that any of the goaltenders we're recommending tonight are grab and hold type players. These are all streaming options, with the exception of maybe one, particularly in like a dynasty format or keeper format. But yeah, he's a streamer and he is playing considerably better than Veggie Milk right now. So that's unfortunate for him.
Definitely. Devon, you want the next one? You're good at Russian names.
Yeah, I can cover that one for sure. Semyon Varlamov for the New York Islanders, rostered in 40% of Yahoo leagues, 38% of Fantrax. 4 games on the docket against Edmonton, Vancouver, Seattle, and Calgary. At least 3 of those matchups, potentially all 4, are going to be cakewalks. Let's see how the Edmonton Oilers continue after Saturday's win against Seattle. But some nice matchups there. And I think Varlamov, he's going to probably get 2 matchups this week, 2 games. Obviously, Sorokin's the guy there for the Islanders, but he's not going to play all 4 games. And 35-year-old Varlamov has been rock steady for the Isles this season. I think he had a bit of a rough start yesterday against Washington, if memory serves correctly. But prior to that, he had a 2-2-0 record with a 1.77 goals against average and a .950 save percentage. So he's turning back the clock a little bit. And against some easier competition, I think he's a really nice streaming option for Week 6.
Most definitely. John, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, no, for sure. Next we have Pyotr Kochetkov, Carolina, roster 29% Yahoo. A couple games this week, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. He's in a tandem role there with Antti Ranta, with Freddie Anderson dealing with the blood clotting issue. He posted a 4-0 shutout over Tampa the other day, which was his 5th career shutout. He struggled a little bit so far this season with a 3.11 GA with an .878 save percentage. But Ranta has also struggled as well. So that does play into Kochetkov's favor. So I guess with Saturday's performance, he may open the door for more starts going forward there for him. So yeah, definitely got to keep an eye on.
I'd venture a guess that he gets the next start over Rantov for shutting out Tampa. Although I think from what I read about Saturday's game is Carolina was a little miffed about something, and they were going to make sure that they were going to give Tampa a pretty rough time. So, and they definitely did do that. So, Tyler, have you opened the notes yet?
No. Someone's shooting fireworks out off here, so
Oh.
I'm just gonna mute myself and listen.
Okay.
I'm just gonna listen.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, Devon, you want to take the last guy then on our list of goaltenders?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's even really worth mentioning at this point, but Magnus Hallberg for the Pittsburgh Penguins, rostered in 7% of Yahoo, 9% of Fantrax, and again, 4 games on the schedule for them this week. He's a pretty clear-cut backup at this point. We know that Nedeljkovic is not playing currently, so somebody's got to back up Tristan Jarry, who was day-to-day. So at the time of writing, Tristan Jarry was day-to-day with a swollen eye, and we thought, okay, well, Hallberg might make some sense as a streaming option in Week 6. In 3 appearances, he's got a 2.36 goals against, a 925 save percentage. He did get the starting nod at home Thursday against the Kings, and he's looked pretty good. The only issue now is, of course, that Jarry returned on Saturday and posted a 4-0 win over the Buffalo Sabres. So, do you have much interest in Hallberg at this point? Probably not, but if you get a spot start here, like if he gets to start against Columbus, great. But then they've also got the Devils, the Hurricanes, and the Vegas Golden Knights this week. So if he doesn't get the start at Columbus, I probably have no interest in Hellberg for Week 6.
Correct.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Anybody else anyone want to add as a late addition to that, or is that?
Tyler, are you looking? I know you're streaming. You're just perusing the wire as we speak. Any goaltender options stick out to you there?
Not goalie options, but Patrick Kane would.
Okay, yeah, I dropped him for you. I thought you were waiting for him. So,
thank you. Somebody from Heavy Hockey was actually saying that he should sign with Buffalo this week. So,
okay,
a 2-year contract.
Interesting.
So, if he does,
Nice.
definitely worth keeping around. So,
I think he's a nice option if he could play with Tage Thompson and Jeff Skinner.
he's gonna put up points.
Yeah,
like he's not washed up. So,
That's what he does. Yep.
yeah.
I like that. And yeah, of course, shout out to Heavy Hockey. We were talking about them earlier, Tyler, and you kind of missed that. So before we take off, Bruce, we should, because we want your thoughts, Tyler. Okay, because they're
We should, yeah.
So give us your breakdown.
Where do we even start?
Well, we started with John's list is where we started. So where do you want to start?
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing just seems amateur.
Agreed.
Like the whole thing.
Yep.
You could tell that, like from the video of him and Manson walking off the ice in San Jose, when he said, "Well, that's it," and Manson said, "Yep."
Yep.
And you can watch that 100 times, and 99 out of 100 times, you're going to be like, "Yeah, that's exactly what they said."
Mm-hmm.
He knew, and I think I would hope that the team told him, because based on the way that he talked to Spec,
Oh, I loved it.
in his
I
interview
love
after,
that. Yeah.
That was awesome.
and not just that, but when he was throwing out his record, and their like points percentage, and brought up the looking day by day, the way that he just looked relieved.
For sure.
Like they had to have had a conversation. Where it comes to be like amateur hour is when Ken Holland, who clearly makes absolutely no decisions anymore, but they still trot him out there as if he does. And then how could you not think to have the conversation beforehand that, hey, we're going to make it look like you still have any say here.
Yep.
So when somebody asks you something, don't answer half of it and then throw it off to the other guy who actually makes the decisions here and say the exact opposite. Like, and then Paul Coffey, who's an idiot.
Yep.
Paul Coffey is an idiot. He has never coached. He's also a founder of a company that I don't really want to talk about right now. So that there might be some of that might be there, but he's only coached his kid in like not even major junior,
Yep.
like basically house league hockey in Ontario, where millions of kids play.
Yep.
that's his extent of coaching. He's best friends with the owner. So you put the eyes and ears of the owner onto the bench with a coach, a head coach, who's basically a puppet who coached McDavid and Junior. If this doesn't work, where do you go from here? Like, McDavid can't really leave because I don't think that he actually pushed for this. I think that they're doing this on their own.
That's
and
what
I
we
think
said.
they look like idiots, probably even to McDavid.
Yep.
They're doing this on their own, trying to lay the groundwork for, well, you can't leave because Jeff Jackson's here and your junior coach is here and Connor Brown's here and we paid him way too much money and he doesn't do anything.
We brought you the Erie
And
Otters. Like, why would you ever want to leave?
Draisaitl, you can't leave either because you just do whatever McDavid says. So, like, this has to work. But if it doesn't work, what do you do? Like, you just look like idiots. Like, the whole press conference, that didn't seem inspiring in any way to anybody.
Did you get the warm and fuzzies from Chris Knobloch at all, Tyler? Because I didn't.
No.
Like,
I didn't.
I'm listening to him. I'm way less confident.
I think he'll be an okay coach. But when you do this without interviewing anybody, like, the only person that's happy about this is Connor McDavid and Bob Stauffer. Those are the only two people. Like, Jay Woodcraft had the second best winning percentage. And I don't know if, like, the captain skates made any difference in it or what it was. But, like, if you look at the stats, they were the worst at their expected saves.
Yep.
They were the worst at their expected goals. So at some point this had to turn, and maybe it was Seattle when, like, Draisaitl actually back-checked and would dump the puck in and make a smart play and take a change, and McDavid would do the same thing. Like, Nurse wasn't doing dumb stuff. I know everybody loves that when I say that. He looked competent. Like, players that didn't. But I think the players also knew, based on Woody's demeanor, that it was over for him. And I think that's why that's why they played that way.
So
like, everybody just looked.
Yeah. But so were they playing Tyler then to get the coach fired, do you think? Because that's really what, like, by all appearances, they were dog shit against San Jose. They come out, it's very coincidental, they come out on Saturday and they basically crush Seattle, have their best game of the year after they basically know that Woody's done.
Yeah, I just, like, you have to say McDavid and Draisaitl are coach killers. Like, there's no argument against it. But I don't know why. Because he seemed like a bright mind. He seemed like everybody wanted to play for him. And maybe, like, the fact that you don't bench Draisaitl, McDavid, or somebody on the team or Bouchard, when they don't show effort, when it's not a skilled play that they had to make. They just had to make an effort play to stop a goal. You don't bench them. Maybe they just don't care. Because the coach didn't do that. So who cares? We can talk about it after the game, but it doesn't really matter. Is Chris Knobloch going to do that? I really doubt it. A rookie head coach that, like, got passed over twice in New York for their head coaching. And what did they do? They hired 2 veteran coaches so that their team could take the next step. New York has taken the next step twice now. Yeah. With both of those coaches. And Edmonton, who's wanting to take a step, hires a rookie head coach who, in the minors, made it to the second round once, and that was last year.
Yeah, he's had some success at the junior level, right? We were talking about this earlier. He won.
And he did.
Yeah, he won one WHL title.
Even without McDavid.
Yep, and one
he
OHL
won
title.
in the OHL without McDavid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he didn't win, like, with McDavid, so, I mean, there's that. But I just, like, this is Jeff Jackson, I think, trying to put his people in place. Yeah. But it looks pathetic. Like, it just looks like a mess.
Agreed.
And the only thing that they can do now is they have to win. They have to win.
Yeah, they have to.
Otherwise, they just look like complete idiots. But the Paul Coffey thing, it absolutely drives me nuts. There's no reason for him to, like, when they call him a skills coach, he wasn't a skills coach. He was the owner's best friend who was trying to be around. He has no coaching experience. So if you're worried about your D play, you go from talking about, and everybody said this, how Dave Manson is like the D whisperer, and you go from that to Paul Coffey, like who has no experience coaching a team and is somehow going to make this team that can't play defense.
No.
When Coffey played in an era and is the type of player who also didn't play defense.
Yep.
I
it's
don't
bad.
know.
It's bad. It's bad.
Like,
it doesn't look good.
I just don't like, the only option is to win. Otherwise, everybody looks stupid.
But then they're starting from scratch. If they can't win, like I said earlier when you weren't on, the next step is then you fire Holland. And I know we've talked about it doesn't really make a ton of sense mid-season, but what else do you have to do? Like at that point, it's bringing a fresh set of eyes before the season is completely torched, and hope that somebody can come in and make some meaningful changes. Because I don't like, and you're probably right, Tyler.
Holland's already fired.
Yes.
Holland's already fired.
But then who's pulling the strings and who's not making any changes? Because they said today, I think Friedman had mentioned it, there's a couple of media guys that said the Oilers looked around the league this week and they couldn't find any reasonable trades. Well, we're past the point of reasonable. You need to overspend and just bring in somebody, a goaltender that can actually stop some pucks. Skinner looked good last night, but are we going to make it?
No, I don't think you could do that. Like, you can't do that. If, like, with the stats that they're last in expected, like, saves, your hope is that you get this bump, you play like you did against Seattle, and you limit slot chances, and then goaltending already looks better. Like, if you go out and you make a desperation trade that you're going to lose, and there's no real goalie out there that you could fit in this cap, you go, say you make it work somehow, and the team continues to play no defense, that goalie is also going to look horrendous.
Agreed.
And then what?
So maybe
what do you do now?
So maybe it doesn't have to be a goaltender, Tyler. But what about our D? Like, why can't we move CC? I know you're gonna have to overpay to move that player, but like,
you can't make any trades right now. Like, you can't do that. You have to like stabilize things and settle it down. Go get to 500 by Christmas time, and then tweak, because at least at that point you're not necessarily dealing from
a position of
where
weakness.
everybody knows that position of weakness, where everybody else knows that you need to do something. That's the only thing that they can do, and hopefully it happens.
And at least by Christmas too, at Christmas or the beginning of January, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what teams are in the playoffs and what teams are out of the playoffs. So the ones that are out may be more inclined to sell off some stuff and just plan for next year, as opposed to right now where literally everybody except for basically, everybody, because if the Oilers are still in the mix, everybody else can still be in the mix. I guess maybe San Jose, but nobody wants any of those players anyway. So,
and it's really out of respect for what Ken Holland has done in the past that they aren't firing him today too.
Yeah,
that's the only reason. Like, you can tell at that press conference, like, he answers half a question the wrong way and then hands it over to Jeff Jackson, who says the exact opposite and looks like a complete liar now.
And then cuts someone off to say something else and then kicks it back out again.
Well, and Paul Coffey in his like opening answer where he's like, oh yeah, they asked me like last week, like, hey, do you want to coach again or ever? Since you never have,
just,
really?
Yikes.
And he's like, oh no, not really. But then like I talked to my wife on like Thursday or whatever. So they were already like, it was already happening. But then Ken Holland, oh yeah, I talked to the players, and Jeff Jackson, none of the players were talked to about this. Like, oh, okay, guys. Good thing you guys sat down and came up with some sort of game plan.
Actually spoke to each other.
You had to know that these questions were going to be asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think.
It was brutal. It was just absolutely brutal.
Dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And the only thing that they can do for people to forget about how dysfunctional this is they have to win. Like, they have to make it to the Western Conference Final. They have to make it to the Cup Final. They have to do that. Otherwise, they are like, it is going to be, everybody is going to talk about it.
Well,
I think everybody's going to talk about it anyway.
I think they will for a couple weeks, but if the Oilers start winning, they're not going to talk about it.
it'll be a hell of a
That's
story.
true.
It'll be a hell of a story late June if the Oilers win the Cup. I have very, very little expectation of that actually occurring, but it makes for a good story, right? The St. Louis Blues are the most recent example.
It's going to be a great story because if the Oilers make the playoffs, well, great. It's a reset. They get a chance to win the cup. If they don't make the playoffs, the dumpster fire goes from simmering to like you might as well throw all the oil in Edmonton and Alberta on top of it, because if the Oilers don't make the playoffs, there is going to be lots of fire in Edmonton.
Oh, they're not performing surgery with a scalpel at that point. They're, it's with a chainsaw basically. So, but I was really reminded how much we miss Adam Larson as they played Seattle last night, right? Like you look at what happened in that decor, and if you just were able to hold on to Adam Larson, it kills me that player didn't want to stay here. But man, like, could you imagine having Adam Larson right now and not Cody Ceci?
Totally different. Totally different team.
Yeah.
Like just steady, mean,
Yeah.
durable,
Yep.
great cap hit,
Can defend.
can jump up in the rush
Yeah.
even. Like that one that Skinner stopped there that he had no business stopping. Like what's Larson even doing that? We don't like maybe Ekholm might jump up like that. Maybe.
Yeah. So, to Ken Holland's credit, and he said it a couple times, he basically lost his second pairing on his D, right? Like when Clefbaum with his shoulder issue and then Larson deciding to leave to free agency, that's a big hole to fill, and that set the Oilers back for sure.
Yeah, a little bit, but I mean, lots of that stuff happens to lots of teams. And they still figure it
I'm not
out.
giving him a pass.
And they also don't have McDavid and Draisaitl.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough. But I'm just saying, like, that to me as a fan, someone watching the team, like, it's made a big impact, and they need to fix it. But
would they be in a completely? They would have already won by now if they had Clefbaum and Larson.
could you imagine? Yeah, for sure.
Especially at their cap numbers.
Great cap numbers. So if you had those two players, Bouchard, Ekholm, and Nurse, and then you're talking about Kulak as your sixth defenseman.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
It's a nice defense.
And then
Very nice
Desharnais can
defense.
play when he needs to, right? Like he's your seventh or eighth defenseman.
Or just not at all.
Or not at all. But it's just like he's not expected to play big minutes at all. So yeah, it's tough. But anyway, we've been griping about the Oilers for feels like the past 2 weeks here. But
on half the podcast.
and half the puck, yeah. But Tyler, I wanted to get your feeling on the whole thing because we had talked about it during John's list. So
I had lots of feelings.
yeah.
These aren't even half of them.
No, I know.
But I got to shower and I got to eat.
Yep.
So
It's
we'll just leave it at that.
Yep. That seems a good place, Bruce, to leave it off. What do you think?
Well, we'll end it there. So
Sounds good.
you can find us on Twitter or X at the Fantasy FHH Hacks and on Instagram at Fantasy Hockey Hacks. Also, don't forget we have a live show, Hacks Hangout, every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Mountain Time on Edmonton Sports Talk and on YouTube, youtube.com/heavy hockey. So thanks for everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye, Felicia.
See you guys.
Take care.